was riddled with controversy, but finally the day came and Kenya's Deputy President William Ruto took his position in the court at The Hague.
Ruto became the first ever sitting Deputy President to be tried at The Hague, but that case is now due to be adjourned tomorrow evening.
As always, we're covering this story for you in a way that only we can. And in a short while, we'll be crossing live to The Hague, where Rita Tinina has been keeping an eye on what's been going on there for us. She has been keeping tabs on that since Saturday. We're also live with reactions from the home turf of Deputy President William Ruto, and of course our North reporter Mercy Kandia has been keeping an eye on that for us. Mercy Kandia is standing by and she will be bringing us details of what's going on the ground. Good evening, many thanks for joining us on KTN Prime. This is The Hague trial.
A very good evening to you on this chilly, rainy and windy night here in The Hague, where it is a little past 8 p.m. We begin in court, where legal teams have been battling all day as the historic trial against Deputy President William Ruto kicked off. William Ruto's defense team tore into the prosecution's case, terming their investigations as shoddy. The prosecutor accused William Ruto and his co-accused Joshua Arap Sang of being behind the killings and evictions during the post-election violence. KTN's Sam Ogina has the highlights of day one of the Hague trial.
Provided transport, food.
Kenya's Deputy President becomes the highest-ranking state official to be tried at the ICC in his official capacity, facing charges of murder, deportation and persecution constituting crimes against humanity alongside co-accused Joshua Arap Sang. The two denied all the charges.
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
This opened the historic trial of a sitting deputy president, with the prosecutor claiming Ruto and Sang were members of a network with a common plan of evicting PNU supporters from the Rift Valley. The prosecution contending that Ruto had an insatiable quest for power, while Sang provided the platform for execution of the common plan through his vernacular radio program.
Mr. Ruto, as a powerful politician, for his alleged role in planning and organizing violence to achieve his political ambitions and satisfy his thirst for political power.
The prosecution will prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the two accused, Mr. William Ruto and Mr. Joshua Sang, are criminally responsible for the attacks in Turbo, Greater Eldoret area, Kapsabet and Nandi Hills, and that they should be declared guilty of the crimes charged against them.
The prosecution has lined up 22 witnesses, with the first one expected to testify Tuesday next week. Bensouda says in executing the common plan, Ruto and Sang used influential individuals, including politicians and businessmen, to finance and plan attacks on Kikuyus from the Rift Valley.
Many victims and witnesses have been too frightened to come forward. The very fact, Mr. President, that I stand before you at the opening of this trial today, Your Honors, is something of an achievement in itself.
But Ruto's defense fired back in a blow-by-blow rebuttal, tearing into the prosecution's case.
This was a carefully planned, coordinated, and executed campaign of violence, specifically targeting perceived PNU supporters.
And Madam Fatou Bensouda was asked not once, not twice, at least 3 times, whether or not she had a strong case. She declined to answer to the journalists who were asking free-range questions that, yes, she was confident she had the right man.
Ruto's lead counsel, Karim Khan, accused the prosecution's office of conducting sloppy investigations and relying on watchdog reports in place of an independent probe.
What Mr. Ocampo did is latch onto an infected information stream. It was convenient. It was easy. It may even be described as lazy prosecution, lazy investigations.
This as the victim's lawyer pitched for justice for the victims of the 2007-2008 post-election violence.
This repeat victimization is being further spurred by the general public and the media. And it is fashionable to hear virtually every other day that, quote, Kenyans have moved on, unquote.
Sang challenges the prosecution's case in his opening statement Wednesday. Samugina, KTN.
True to their promise, scores of legislators left House business back in Kenya to accompany Deputy President William Ruto during the opening of his trial here in The Hague. Earlier on, we caught up with some of them, and as we found out, they have no apologies to make for being here. Nearly 2 years after the case against him was confirmed by pre-trial chamber number 2, Deputy President William Ruto's historic date with the trial judges at the International Criminal Court was finally here.
What are your expectations today?
The Deputy President arrived at the ICC shortly before 9 a.m. Hague local time, accompanied by his wife Rachel and the Kenyan ambassador to the Netherlands.
What do you think about it?
Local and international camera crews jostled to get the best shot of the first ever sitting Deputy President to be tried here. And not even the persistent questions by members of the press would prompt the Deputy President to betray his feelings ahead of his date with the judges.
You've got a message for your supporters. A message for your supporters.
Ruto's co-accused radio journalist Joshua Arap Sang, who celebrated his 38th birthday on the eve of the start of the trial, arrived moments later. The arrival of the two was preceded by that of legal teams. William Ruto's lead counsel, Karim Khan, was among the first of Ruto's team of 6 lawyers to arrive.
We're ready. We're looking forward to the start of the trial, and not long for you all to wait.
But it was Kenyan members of parliament who kept the usually quiet front entrance of the court busy. The MPs who travelled to The Hague in support of the Deputy President arrived 1 hour before the scheduled start of the trial. They camped at the front entrance waiting for their man.
Kesi pia inahusu sisi wote kama wa Kenya.
We are confident that he has no problem because the highest court is the vote of the Kenyan people, and the Kenyan people voted.
We've come to give moral support to our leaders.
We are here to see what the court is going to do. All that a suspect or an accused person is supposed to do is to present himself to court.
In violation of Article 718.
And after the first 4 hours of proceedings, Trial Chamber 5A took a lunch break. The Deputy President left the courtroom for his lunch break, but still, he was saying nothing to the press. But members of parliament who had filled the public gallery of the court emerged from the opening session, and they were more vocal.
We are leaving at the end of the weekend. Another batch of members of parliament will come, and we'll be at The Hague as long as the case is continuing.
The MPs are in The Hague as their colleagues back home undergo an important induction course. But Duale says this is worth missing everything for.
Oh, this is more of a state matter than the induction of the members of parliament.
Now, earlier on this afternoon, before the court adjourned the day's sittings, there was the clearest indication that perhaps the trial will be adjourned tomorrow until next Tuesday to allow the prosecution to prepare its witnesses. And in the last 2 hours or so, a communication from the office of the Deputy President indicating that William Ruto will travel back to Kenya tomorrow night to arrive in Kenya on Thursday morning, but also that communication indicating that Ruto will then travel back to The Hague on Monday next week in time for the resumption of trial on Tuesday, but that is if the prosecutor will apply and be granted an adjournment by the case. We will keep an eye on things for you from this end, and tomorrow we'll see how things play out in court. For now, I hand things back to you, Ben, in Nairobi.
Thank you, Rita. KTN's Rita Tinina, they are coming to you live from The Hague in the Netherlands, just bringing you the latest from the ICC trial, today being day one. And we have just seen from that story some of your members of parliament leaving some legislative duties behind to accompany Deputy President William Ruto at The Hague and show solidarity. And on